Hey guys, today I'm doing Scary Stories Part 2. If you haven't checked out my first scary story, that is on my YouTube or on my TikTok. Only part of it is there, but Scary Stories Part 2. Oh, and I'm just using, even if I'm not doing eyeshadow, I still use just like a little bit of primer. This is just the Urban Decay, it's so old, primer. It's just for eyeshadow. But I still use it even if I'm not putting on any eyeshadow because I put makeup and concealer on my eyelids, so I don't like when it creases throughout the day, and this really helps it not to do that. So I always just use a tiny bit regardless. Anyways, Scary Stories Part 2. I think I mentioned in my last video that when I first started trying to open up my mediumship and understand that, how I use it and how it works, I pretty much invited anything into my space, and that didn't end up very good. But then there was a part I was talking about where I tried to create this angel board. Here we go. Also this is day. It's just like you actually use this on your hair and it really smooths away any frizz. It's amazing. It's honestly incredible. See, it's so good, but I use it on my eyebrows and it doesn't grease or anything like that. Anyways, I'll link all this stuff below if you guys want to check it out. Angel board. Again, here I'm still learning how to connect with spirits and connect with the divine and connect with angels and all this stuff. And we all know that Ouija boards have a negative connotation. And I was like, I'm not saying that Ouija boards, I actually think they're good, but you really have to know how to use them super well. There's all this stuff that you have to do, and I don't know how to do that. But I have seen many spiritual people, like the psychics, I don't know, people who do witchcraft or just, I don't know, people who connect with the dead, who like do it for a living type thing, or it's one of their gifts. They really know how to use it. They have spells, they have like sort of protection rituals that they do. You have to, I think actually Ouija boards are not bad, but if you don't know how to use them, I personally think that things can go sour real quick. But I've seen them being used safely. I've seen them be very effective. But of course, at the time, like I just thought that we can just do a quick prayer over the Ouija board and it'll be fine. I just personally wouldn't, like, unless you actually know what you're doing and like you've been trained by someone who's been using Ouija boards for years. I just wouldn't. That's just me. But anyway, here I am trying to create an angel board. I thought to myself instead, why don't I just create this angel board where the intention isn't to open up some sort of portal with evil stuff, evil things, or not just evil. I'm not saying Ouija boards only bring in evil and invite evil, but I think they can invite a lot of trickster spirits, and they can definitely invite some good stuff if you're trying to connect with ancestors or whatever. They can, but I wouldn't risk it if you don't know what you're doing, because it can actually be quite dangerous. Honestly, just scary. Like, nobody wants that. Also, sometimes I just use this primer. It's just the Milk hydrating primer. It's really nice. It makes your skin just dewy, and look at that stick. Amazing. So I just use this sometimes. I created an angel board because I had a negative, my perception of Ouija boards was that they do invite something evil or something that you don't want. And so for those reasons, for me, I do believe that your belief about a tool really affects what comes through. I've done Ouija boards in the past too when I was like a kid, and not the best stuff came through. I definitely personally thought that this is not something that brings in light and love. But for example, with tarot, I never had a negative perception of tarot. I know some people do, that's fine, but whatever. But I never had a negative perception with tarot. Some people think that it's used for evil spirits or conjuring up the devil, this and that. There's a lot of beliefs out there, but I never did think that. So for me, tarot was never something that brought in negative energies, because I always asked the divine to speak through the cards for me. And anyway, that's a whole different thing. Also, just using the Hourglass Liquid Airbrush Vanish Concealer in shade Pearl. under my eyes. Right now I have a tan, so it's just the perfect shade. It's like a cool undertone, which I actually like better, even though I kind of have neutral undertones, but I don't know, I just like the cool undertones a lot for my skin. I don't know if that means that I have cool undertones more, but I think they're more neutral. I don't know. Anyways, here I am. I'm like thinking, why don't, instead of creating a Ouija board, I'll create an angel board. And my intention there is like, well, I'm not scared of, I know angels aren't like evil. I was like, what if I just make the board? I literally took a whiteboard. Sorry, I was just getting a call. I literally took just a whiteboard that I had, and honestly, I tried to not make it look like a Ouija board, but it ended up looking like a Ouija board. But I did the same letters, like A to Z, and then 0 to 9, and then hi, bye, yes, no. So essentially, it literally looked exactly like an angel Ouija board, but I decorated it a bit. Like I put flowers, I put hearts. Girl, I was just learning. I was just seeing what was gonna happen. I put all this pretty stuff on it, thinking like, you know what, this is gonna make a difference because this is going to not attract anything negative. It's my personal touch. It's cute. Girl, I'm out here thinking I can outsmart the spirits that aren't good. As a noob, I was a noob. I wish I had a picture. I don't. But anyways, I did make this angel board. And I did at least look up, how do you protect a Ouija board? How do you, like, what kinds of rituals or prayers, I suppose, can you say? And so I looked some stuff up, like, albeit I didn't do a ton of research. I did a quick Google search, and the first thing that came up is kind of what I rolled with. And I called upon the divine, as I always do, and I just set my intention, like, hey, I don't want anything negative to come through. I don't remember what prayer I said or whatever, but I did very strongly set the intention. I don't want anything negative coming through at all. Okay. Oh, I even, like, I white saged it before I started. I tried to do everything, you know what I mean? I lit some candles, I got into a very calm space. Noted I was a little anxious just because it was my first time doing it on my own. I think that's gonna be important for the story later, but I think I was a little bit anxious. I think I still had, even though I tried to create this new pretty looking board, I still was anxious, and so I think that played a role in how the events unfolded. Here I am. I'm done with setting my intentions. I'm, lighting my candles. I'm trying to, and I do have a twin flame. I just wanted to see if the angels could help me out and just see what's going on with all that stuff. And I could still, at this point, I was like meditating a lot, and I could like hear spirit, not the divine type thing. I could at this point, but I was just like branching off, and I was trying to just experience different things and figure out what I liked and what I don't like to use, what works for me. Also, now I'm just gonna go in with a different hourglass. It's still the same concealer, but this is in silk, so it's slightly lighter, still has that cool undertone. I just like to put this right in the corner of my eyes and just a little bit below, just to lighten up there, and a little on my nose. What was I saying? Hold on. I was just trying to figure out like what works for me, what I like, what I don't like, but still I was just trying to get some answers. I called upon the archangels that I'd been working with or trying to get to know as of recent at the time, and that was, of course, our homeboy Archangel Michael, one of the most, I think, requested archangels with a very busy schedule, and Archangel Gabriel are the ones I was working with a lot. And so I called upon them, and the what's it called? The thing in the middle, it started to move. Also, sorry if you guys can hear some background. It might sound like a vacuum cleaner. That's just my mom's visiting me right now. She's just drying her hair. But anyways, the planchette, I think it's called, in the middle, it started to move. And I was like, this is really cool. I just started asking my questions, and it started to move. And it was fine at first. I didn't feel anything bad for the first like 2 minutes, I would say. But then things changed. Things definitely changed. I think at the time as well, I was just wanting to get a lot of answers. And I was like, when you're first just starting to do something, you just want to know everything. At least that's what I'm like. Like, I want to know everything. I want to ask all the questions in the world. I want to figure it out. After like a minute or two, it kind of felt like the spirits, or like the angels, I guess, they started getting pretty annoyed with me. And that's also a sign that that's not actually the archangels you're speaking with, because they don't get annoyed at you like that. And the reason I knew that is because when I was moving the thing and asking, or I was moving it, but when it was moving and I was asking questions, it started moving very fast, and I just felt the energy of something getting annoyed. First thing that I did is I asked, am I speaking with Archangel Michael? And it moved very fast to yes. And then I was like, okay, am I also speaking with Archangel Gabriel? And again, moved very fast to yes. But then again, I'm feeling this annoyed energy. Also, side note, I just sort of like to, sometimes I'll do a quick first layer of concealer, and then I sort of just do a second layer and I leave it for maybe a minute or two. I just let it dry, because it does give you way more full coverage. That's a tip. But after I finished asking if those are the archangels I'm speaking to, I did hear, like, I did move to yes. And then I was like, well, are you guys like annoyed? And it moved to yes so fast. And I was like, that's not, I didn't know at the time, I guess, that archangels they don't get annoyed at you like that. They are very much so beings of light and love, and like they don't get annoyed because you're asking questions. At least from my experience, like over the years now, like I definitely am very experienced now, and I know that they don't get annoyed. They might not answer if you're asking the same thing over and over and over again, because they might be like, well, you know what, she just got to learn on her own, you know what I'm saying? But they really don't get annoyed. That's the first, I would say, well, one of the many signs, not necessarily first, but that's one of the many signs that you're not talking to who you think you're talking to. This is the thing. Trickster spirits can absolutely they can pretend that they're something else. They can pretend that they're archangels. They can pretend they're, you know what I mean? Especially when you are working with a Ouija board that you actually really, angel board, but really it looked like a Ouija board that you have no experience in. Anyways, I did find out later that these were trickster spirits. I got pretty freaked out, and also my cat. I had one cat at the time. Now I have two, but I had one cat at the time. And I remember they just started getting annoyed, but again, I wasn't sure exactly, but like I could feel it, but I was like, well, let's just kind of keep going. But then suddenly the room, I could see like it was just white stuff just flashing before my eyes, and it was like all over my room, and it felt in my room as though there was a tornado, or like it was windy suddenly, and it was very, very cold. My hands were ice cold, so cold, so cold. And my cat was on my bed at the time. I was on my floor, and she was just looking around the room like this as well. So clearly, like, she's seeing what I'm seeing. And I was like, I think this is time to stop. I was like trying to be respectful. I was like, okay, well, you know what? Thank you so much. Apologies for offending anybody. And that's not my intention. And I'd like to, I don't even remember exactly what I said, but also, side note, I just do a little bit of Fix Plus under my eyes just so I can set the powder nicely that I'm about to do. But I tried to be respectful, closing it off, and I said goodbye properly, and I was like, didn't intend to harm anyone or anything or offend anyone. And I was like, okay, bye-bye. I don't want anything following me. You don't have permission to stay. Things like, again, Google told me. And then I closed it off, and I was like, I saged the house. I tried to do everything properly. I cleansed the house, said what I needed to say. Then I called upon the real Archangel Michael, because I was like, Archangel Michael, like, if that was really you, I don't know if it was, but I am sorry. And I did say, like, I call upon the real Archangel Michael, like the divine's Archangel Michael type thing. And I was like, I don't think that was you. And I was just like sitting in my bed. It was still freezing. This is after I'd saged, and I always thank the indigenous spirits too. Like my old place that I lived in where I did this had a lot of indigenous spirits. I thanked them too. I was like, you guys, like, please, I don't want anything evil in here and negative. Can you please like help me to protect? And I am grateful for the sage and this and that. And So still freezing cold. I wiped the angel board clean. I also saged that angel board. And then I went to go meditate because I was like, oh gosh, what did I just do? You guys, honestly, don't worry if you make these kinds of mistakes, because it is definitely how you learn, and it is how you gain experience, and how you learn about your channel, and how you just learn in general about your gift. By the way, I did go in with on my under eyes with this lavender Fenty Beauty press powder. I just love the purple. It always just brings out the green in my eyes. And now I'm just going in with a little bit of liquid blush. I'm just going to put 3 dots around my cheek bones here. I don't really like to bring it too far down. That's just for my own face. I just don't think it makes me look like I have rosacea. So I just put 3 here and I blend it in with a brush, and I just tap it in. Blush always looks better the more you tap it, the more you blend all makeup, right? Anyways, back to the story. Oh, and this is also shade, I'll link it below, Bubblegum. I clean off my angel board and stuff like that as well, and I go to meditate in my bed without any tools. And I'm like calling upon the divine. I personally never call upon anyone, no angels, no spirit guides. This is me personally. Everyone has their own way of doing stuff, but I don't think that, I just believe that because there are a lot of stuff out there, there's a lot of things out there in the spiritual realm that you really don't know their intentions. You don't know who can trick you, who is really, if you don't do it under the divine, you don't know what's coming in to try and mess with you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there that's is not always has your best intentions, of course. I personally, from my own experience, I do not call upon anyone, anything, any being, unless it's under the divine, and that's under the divine will. And so I always just call upon essentially God first, just to be like, I am only of service to you, and I only want beings that have been assigned by you to me, or like spirit guides that you want me to work with. I don't want to work with anything outside of that. That's just me. But anyways, side note, I call upon Archangel Michael under the divine. I'm like, oh, was that you? Can you please, I really need you to give me a sign. I'm on my bed, and across the room I had a desk, and I brought these. At the time I was using this angel deck, and specifically Angel Answers by Radley Valentine. Actually, these cards are so cute. I really love them. I was also using these at the time, and I swear, you guys, this is what happened. I'm like, I really need a sign. Was that you? And by the way, even though, you guys, I did mention that I saged, I cleansed, I thought that I was doing the right things, but the room was still going crazy. You know how I was saying that it felt like there was like a literal freaking tornado. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. Whatever. It sounded like there was just, it felt like there was a tornado, like a hurricane in my room. It was not. It was literally windy in my room still. And I'm like still going to meditate and try to relax after this. I'm still freezing cold. But anyways, Archangel Michael, I really need like a clear sort of sign about what's going down here. Was that you? I really need to know, because I don't want to talk to anything that's not you. I wanted to talk to you and Archangel Gabriel, and I don't think that that's what was going on. I'm lying on my bed, and I swear to God, you guys, my desk is away from my bed, across the room. I can't. And I swear, this angel deck, this whole entire deck, literally it flew off of my desk. I'm not joking. Like it flew off of my desk, and it opened. It literally, like, it opened, and it was just on the floor, whatever, in some sort of position. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was freaked out, but I got up and I was like, well, let's go find out. And I picked it up. No, what I had asked is, was I really speaking with the true Archangel Michael and the true Archangel Gabriel? Okay, and I pick up the deck, and the first card that I see is this no. At this point, I'm like, I swear to God, you guys, like, this is a true story. At this point, I'm like, I'm not calm enough to go back into my bed and meditate and get into this calm state. Absolutely not. I just continue sitting at my desk, I just stayed there and I was like, was I talking to, I'm using these cards because clearly they're pretty charged at the time, and I was using them and I was like, was I speaking to something negative? Was I speaking to a trickster spirit? Actually, first it was like, was I speaking to something negative? And it was like, I got this card, yes. Actually, these cards are awesome because they do have yeses and nos in them. I can also link these if you guys are interested. They are really nice, great cards, in my personal opinion. Yes to something negative. And I was like, well, you know, I was like, I had this feeling that what kept coming to mind was like trickster. I just kept hearing like trickster spirit, trickster spirit. I had asked, I was like, was I speaking with a trickster spirit? And again, like I reshuffled the cards properly. There's another yes, but I got this card again. There's another yes in the deck. Actually, it has like 3 exclamation marks. That's the one I got. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, well, that's a problem. Again, noted the room is still freezing cold. I was like, did my extra round of, I went and saged the house again. Literally, it flew off of my desk. I'm not joking. Like it flew off of my desk. And it opened. It literally, like, it opened and it was just on the floor or whatever in some sort of position. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was freaked out, but I got up and I was like, well, let's go find out. And I picked it up. No, what I had asked is, was I really speaking with the true Archangel Michael and the true Archangel Gabriel? And like I pick up the deck and the first card that I see is this no. At this point, I'm like, I swear to God, you guys, like, this is a true story. At this point, I'm like, I'm not calm enough to go back into my bed and meditate and get into this calm state. Absolutely not. I just continue sitting at my desk. I just stayed there and I was like, was I talking to, I'm using these cards because clearly they're pretty charged at the time, and I was using them and I was like, was I speaking to something negative? Was I speaking to a trickster spirit? Actually, first it was like, was I speaking to something negative? And it was like, I got this card, yes. Actually, these cards are awesome because they do have yeses and nos in them. I can also link these if you guys are interested. They are really nice, great cards, in my personal opinion. Yes to something negative. And I was like, well, you know, I was like, I had this feeling that what kept coming to mind was like trickster. I just kept hearing like trickster spirit, trickster spirit. I had asked, I was like, was I speaking with a trickster spirit? And again, like I reshuffled the cards properly. There's another yes, but I got this card again. There's another yes in the deck. Actually, it has like 3 exclamation marks. That's the one I got. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, well, that's a problem. Again, noted the room is still freezing cold. So I was like, did my extra round of, I went and saged the house again just to make sure everything is removed. And actually that did help. Doing it once isn't always enough. You have to do it twice, is what I learned. The first time just sort of loosens everything, and the second time removes it. I learned that day. I like to put this blush sometimes just in the creases of my eye just to blend it in with the cheek. I think it looks cute. But that really is what that's what happened, and it was really scary because I did meditate later. I meditated a couple days later, and I did learn that was definitely a trickster spirits. It wasn't just one, there was multiple energies there. Really hope I didn't open a portal in that house that isn't closed, because I think I did that because that land already is very spiritually active, and I actually totally think I opened a portal because there was already spirits in the house. I've seen a spirit before in that house, even before I did the Ouija board, and of course I could sense a lot of indigenous spirits around. But after that, a few months later, I wouldn't say it was instant, because after that experience I was pretty freaked out, and I was saging every day. I was like making sure I'm being very spiritually clean in terms of making sure I'm protecting myself properly. I don't know, but then it did happen a couple months later where there was just a lot of spirits around, like, and it was, you know what, and it was after I had left. spending a lot of time at one of my girlfriend's places over the summer, and I wasn't really at my house that much. When I did come back and I would sleep in my house, it was like I came back after like probably a week. I took my cat with me and stuff too. I came back after a week and I was sleeping in my room, and I just like heard this rustling, this paper rustling in the middle of the night, and it was literally like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like wind, it was rustling paper, like 100% there was something in my room. I asked it to leave, and thankfully, but I had a couple more experiences like that where there was just activity, or like I could hear stuff moving around. Oh, and then there was another time where I heard my roommate wasn't around at the time. She was visiting somewhere else, and she has a keyboard, and I could hear the keys clacking in the middle of the night. Your energy really does protect the home. Have you guys ever been away on vacation for a while, a long 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, and you come back and like the house had to have been empty? If you have a roommate and they were there, like this wouldn't maybe happen as much, but it has to be like when everyone's out of the house and you come back and it's like eerie and it's like weird. It doesn't feel like your home anymore. Well, it is because your home, your energy does a lot of, you are needed in order to protect the space. That was that. The whiteboard's fine. It's like a whiteboard that I just have. It doesn't do anything weird. It's just, I usually use it for tutoring. That's another thing I do on the side. Also mascara, just going in with the Hourglass Unlocked Ultra Black mascara. I was very much so new and still discovering how to do stuff, and hopefully y'all can learn from me. But yeah, let me know if you guys have had any crazy experiences like that, or just really weird experiences, or I do like to know. But yeah, trickster spirits, they definitely can trick. They obviously can trick you. They don't care, but it is within the energy. I also feel like in that Ouija board, I'm just actually kind of hearing that now, or that angel board I made, there was also an indigenous spirit, and I do think that I had a good relationship with some of the indigenous spirits in my land that were more so there to protect the space and the land. I had a good relationship with some of them just because I do try to always be respectful and take care of the land, and just I'm always thanking them for the sage. I don't know why, but I know why I do that, but I don't know why it came to me to do that. I just have always done that. Just maybe I read it or heard it somewhere, but I just always felt like, you know what, let's just be respectful. And I think through that, there was some indigenous spirits that were more protective, weren't trying to kick me out. There was some that definitely were, though, for sure. Like there was some that, of course, injustices were done, and I had some dreams a couple of times where there was one indigenous spirit that came to me in my dreams and was just showing me how they passed away, and didn't really like that I was there, not because I wasn't respectful, but just didn't like that I was there, and that's so fair. But I do think that in that angel board, there was one indigenous spirit that was also trying to kind of get through and relay to me, like, you need to stop, like, stop. But I didn't know that at the time because I sensed many energies coming through that board, and I wasn't good at kind of like differentiating, I suppose. Like I was just focused on like what is this trickster situation, or what even is this, right? I think that there was an indigenous spirit, one that liked me, who was definitely trying to just like warn me, like, hey, you need to stop. And now I'm actually hearing that's why. There was also an energy of frustration, and not that he was mad, but he was just trying to give off this negative energy so that I would just, stop using the board. That was that. And I have so many stories, you guys. Let me know if you guys like to hear these stories or not. Like, I have a ton. Anyways, I'm just gonna finish up my makeup. Sometimes I like to put under eye mascara. I'll just put like a tiny bit, like just nothing crazy for a day-to-day situation, but just a bit to sort of open up the eye. And then lip. I'm gonna do some lip liner. Hold on, let me find it. This is the MAC Whirl lip pencil. It's just a nice nude color. I just like to align my lip, obviously. As I was finding this lip liner though, I actually saw that same indigenous spirit just kind of pop out right here outside my window. And I guess he's been with me for a while. I guess he just really likes that I respect the land and the sage and stuff like that. I don't know. But I did just see that he was out here. I don't know, you guys, like sometimes spirits will, if they like you, and this is just me, like you guys use your own discretion of what you want to do and what you don't want to do, but sometimes if they like you, it's not that they attach. This spirit is not attached to me. It's not something that's attached to me. There's no reason for this spirit to, he's happy that he's just like a land protector. He's happy where he is, but he's just someone who likes to protect. I don't know, sometimes you can have a connection with a spirit that has passed, and that's fine. That's kind of cool. Hold on, I need my lip gloss. And then I just like to go in with, I don't only use expensive stuff. I also do a lot of stuff with drugstore, but I love Hourglass. It's just actually made really well. The lady who owns who's the owner, and she actually creates, with the help of course of biochemists and labs and stuff, but she actually was lucky enough to have the funds and to make really good makeup, and it's actually good, pretty good for your skin. I'm no expert, but I've read a whole article about her, and she actually wanted to create products that were great for your skin and good. So that's why I just love Hourglass, and honestly it lasts forever. I swear one tube can last me 6 months. Does it give the freshest mascara look after 6 months? No, like, you know, it is a little dried, but you can still use it for a really long time. I used to use this Lancome one, which I loved. It made your lashes insane, but it just didn't really last for that long. And this one, actually, you can go very far with it. I think it's, I don't know how much it is, but anyways, I will link all this stuff. But anyways, the lip gloss, Hourglass. I don't know what shade this is. It's gone, but I will link it below. It's just like a nice nude, but it's has a little brown in it. I love this combo, the Whirl and the it's like a purpley sort of nude. I've had this forever too, and it lasts a while. But that's pretty much it. And of course I have to get dressed and all that, but this is just the day-to-day, honestly. And if I wasn't filming, this makeup would not take me this long. Usually it's like 10 fit. If you want to do a good job, of course, you need to take your time. But honestly, it takes me like 12 minutes at best. It's not that long. But you guys, that's the story. And sometimes these spirits, they just like you, and you have to use your discernment. But if they're scaring you, or they're not being friendly, or like you're getting a bad vibe, or like you're feeling like you're being watched, or like you're not, pretty much anything outside of protected and calm, it's probably isn't a good spirit. But let me know your guys's experiences too, and if you, what experiences you've had with like Ouija boards or metaphysical tools or whatever it is. All right, well, I'm gonna go get dressed, but I do hope to hear from you guys, and love y'all so much. Bye-bye.